Welcome to my complete Diamol guide. Before we start, I'd like to show you a clip on why Diamol is so goddamn good. In this clip, I'm doing the Giga pull that takes about 17 minutes and pulls everything in both west and north, and I have this level 56 boosty in my group. I mean, looking at the XP, it clearly shows how OP Diamol is compared to everything else we have right now. With that said, I hope that you are motivated and ready to go. Of course, we have to start with the gear. Most importantly, tier 2. It is not strictly necessary, but you'll definitely play on hard mode without it. Aside from tier 2, everything with a lot of stats is good, especially Spirit and MP5 is nice for the kill phase, whereas Intellect and Stamina will help you throughout the pool. Poet is also really nice to have, but it's definitely not required. Just pop your mana pots on cooldown, have your gems ready, and then you'll be totally fine. I also use Rocket Boots. These are really nice oh shit buttons. Some people think you constantly need to re-enchant them when they explode. That doesn't hold. What you do is you just keep a lot in your bag, and when they explode, it's gonna be the ones in your bag that explode instead. Obviously, engineering is a must. I use it for Reflector, Grenade, Dummies, and Goblin Mortar. So for talents, I run this standard Blizzard build. There's nothing special about this one, just some Deep Frost into some Arcane. If you have Blade of Eternal Darkness, you can run some Flamestrike build. It's actually not recommended at all, because you lose a lot of control when you weave in Flamestrikes. Poet is still useful of course, but you just don't make your whole spec around it. Just bring Grenades and Mortar, and you'll get plenty of mana back just from these two. About consumes, here I have listed the ones that I'm using during the pull. I won't go much into details here because you will see anyway what to use when in the pull section. I will mention however that Sansa is not necessary for most pulls, so if you're practicing, just don't bother with the Sansa at all. It's a pain in the ass to get. Like in any other boost, there's many different versions you can do depending on your skill, mood, and playstyle. Before we actually see the different versions, I'd like to leave you an overview here. You can scan through it now, but don't bother with the details. You can always come back here and just review the pros and cons once you know the pulls. No matter what pull you are doing, you have to do these trees. Before you start, make sure to pre-shield and buff your other buffs. Max range frostbolt this pack. Body pull the second. If you pull any large trees, make sure to CC them before running off. Max range frostbolt this one. Grenade the corner pack. Then blink. Most trees here will social with each other, so you don't have to pull them manually. Here I can play aggressively because my blink is about to be up and I have my CC abilities. Pull the corner pack. Here you can jump on the ledge to bandage or wait for your cooldowns. Reapply shield. Blizzard the corner pack. Reflector. Nova. Lost behind the pillar and then blink. So here's some extra tips for the trees. First of all, consider skipping the healing trees. Pulling them usually makes you kill more mobs overall, but you will never kill all of them. And this is annoying because when you reset them, they run out the boosties way. Boosties of course loves to stay AFK, so this is kind of annoying if you're boosting a lot. Additionally, if you're too slow on the kill phase, they might even out-heal your damage, so you will kill less mobs overall. The second thing I want to mention here is some useful items. You have the free action potion. This is a no-brainer. You don't need your pod cooldown anyway, so you can just pop one here. Skull and rocket boots are nice to create distance to the mobs. Lastly, a range indicator add-on is really nice for landing max range frostbolt. It helps you avoid this awkward moment where you think you're in range, but you're not really, so you have to walk back, and then you get closer to the mobs anyway, and then yeah. So definitely get one. For the Terrace, we have 3 different versions we can do. We have the full send, that pulls everything but is riskier. Then we have the safe send, that is safe and easy, but it skips some mobs, around 10. Lastly, we have the no boss pull, where the boss is guaranteed not to pull, but it skips a little more mobs, around 15. As you come up to the race, start blizzarding these 2 packs. Jump on the recent spot and then wand. Lost behind the pillar and then pull this pack over here. Blink through the owl. Drop down and then blizzard the elementals like I do here. Make sure to blizzard the skeletons, otherwise all of them might not pull. Ideally blink the ghost here, or nova them. Jump up the ledge, then back down, and let the skeletons run to you. Pull the first half of the elementals, jump up, and pull the second. Here you can bandage or evocate if you have it up. If the boss is in your way here, you can skip this one. Jump up, line of sight, pull the pack, and then blink through the deer statue. Line of sight again, throw a grenade, and slow fall down with rocket boots or skull. Here you want to blink on cooldown and pull the rest of the room you missed the first time around. Now over this pack. If you have mobs wrapping like I do here, just blink up fast, then back down, reapply shields, evocate and bandage if you can. Open the door. Notice how little time I have here at the door with the risky version. For the safe scent, when you get up on the terrace, you just stand still and let the mobs get up here. Every second you wait here is more time that you have at the door. This part is the same as in the previous version. Come up here, drop back down, let the skeletons get up a bit. Then you jump on the ledge, pull the elementals like I do here, and then you run back down the ledge. Stay lost, and then blink through the gap that you have created. Slow fall down with rocket boots or skull. Drive-by counterspell this pack. By doing the jump back down, we avoid going through the nasty casters as well as the boss, making this much safer. And then we pull the rest like in the previous version. Nova the pack. Body pull this one. Blink up and body pull the second. And then just enjoy 20 seconds of chilling at the door. The start for the no boss pull is the same as the others. Once you come to the bridge, you want to blink and then pop 5 to 10 seconds of rocket boots just to get some distance. Jump on the ledge. Then blizzard the first half of the elementals. And then the second. Jump back down and blink. Nova the mobs. And then blizzard them. Once the last skeleton is past the statue, you can jump down. Doing this makes the skeletons run over the bridge rather than through the boss. This will always avoid pulling her. The rest is just the same. Blink the first ghost. Nova when your shield breaks, or at the end of the hallway. Pull this elemental with wand. And this one. Let the elemental social with the smaller ones here. Throw a grenade just to make sure that everything pulls. If you just did a run, you will probably be on very low mana because you haven't evocated yet. But this is fine because the prison is perfect just to regen a lot. We just hug the wall and avoid casting our spells. The only time we break our mana regen if a patrol runs straight into us. We can avoid most of them just by running around and stopping up. Once you're past the elementals here, you want to blink on cooldown. If the patrol here is in your way, just Nova it. Here I want to make sure it pulls, so I throw a grenade. Put on your shields here in case some mobs are close. Open the door. Here we have 4 different versions. We have the fast pull. As the name suggests, this one is fast. Additionally, it doesn't pull the boss, but it does skip quite a few mobs. Then we have the lazy pull. It's safe and easy and does pull everything in the first room. However, you also pull the boss. Then we have the Piree pull. Here we pull all mobs in the first room, as well as some in the second, and we don't get the boss. However, this one is a step up in difficulty. Lastly, we have the Giga pull. Here we pull everything. However, we do have one boss, and the pull itself can also be quite difficult. Coming into the library, you can safely bandage here on the left if you took some damage in prison. Also vent and repair at this NPC here. I use dejunk add-on, that's very useful. Now create as much distance to the mobs as possible. Here you see me blink on cooldown. If you have mana problems here, you can just pop 5 to 10 seconds of rocket boots and then just regen your mana. It's important that you have full mana once you arrive at the kill phase. Hug the wall and swoop around this ledge. Line of sight behind the ramp as you walk up. Pull this pack and pop a swiftness pot. Blink towards the wall. Here there's a patrol, so I counterspell that. You can also reflect that. Then you Nova the brutes. Cone of cold hyenas if they are close. Stall till your blink is up and then throw a grenade. Blink towards the small rocks and jump up. Lost behind this pillar and make sure you don't move at all, otherwise mobs might hit you through. Notice how the west mobs run through the boss instead of up here, and this was because we went fast in the hallway. If we haven't gone fast there, then some elementals might get stuck up here and cast on us. That can be quite annoying. Once all mobs have come up, then it's time to go to kill phase. The library here doesn't really affect the pull that much. You can either go slow or fast, depending on your mana. Once you arrive at north, you want to hug the wall again. Swoop around the corner. Line of sight the frost bolts. Pull the back here, Nova any patrol. Get up on the ledge. Jump down like I do here to avoid pulling the hyenas. If you accidentally pull them here, it's fine, you can just stack them up a bit later on. Once the hyena pulls by themselves, or after 5-10 seconds, you can pull them. Once the coast is clear, it's time to go. If there's any patrol here in your way, you can just rank 1 polymorph it. Pull the pack here. Hug the ledge to avoid pulling the pack. Frostbolt it. Throw a grenade on this pack. Nova the ogre and cone of cold the hyenas. Blink and pull the 2 brutes here. Then drop down. Here you can wait for your Nova if you like, or just go like I do here. Make sure to do a loop here. Blink and jump on the juggle spot. And start juggling immediately back and forth. You can CC all the shitters to have more time juggling. You want to juggle till all the mobs has arrived, or till you have some mobs casting on you. This next part here is really important for a good transition to the kill phase, so listen up here. Nova the mobs. Stand still till they come. Drop down, tank the mobs till the shield is gone, and then blink up. And then throw a blizzard here. Drop down. Then jump up again. Poly this pack. And then Nova this one. This is the first harder one, as it expects you to, first of all, use your cooldowns and your brain. So most of the parts here north is the same as in the lazy pool, so we'll just skip to the point where it actually changes. Once you come to this part, start taking note of the patrols. Here I'm marking this one for example. Then pull this pack like in the previous pool. And then instead of staying on the ground, you jump up the ledge. And now you want to start playing ahead depending on the patrols. I have a patrol here on the right, so I have to hurry now before I pull it. If it's in your way, just sheep it and cone of cold the hyenas. I don't see a patrol on the ramp, so this one should be a total no-brainer. Strafe into this pack when you grenade them. Pop your swiftness pot. Make sure to pull this hyena. If you pull this bonfire with counterspell, this will cost you some cooldowns later on, as we'll see. Take a loop around the casters and then Nova any patrols you encounter here. Pull the shitters. Jump up and blink on the ledge. Because I counterspelled at the bonfire, I have to pop my reflector and my ice block here. If I didn't do that, I could just have counterspelled one and sheep the other. If you only have one cast on you, then you can just counterspell it and then outrange the other. I also want to mention one thing here. You might be thinking like, this was pure luck, it was an easy ID, there's no way you can do this every time. What if you have the boss here, one dog patrol, all this? Sure, that is right, it can be very difficult. You have 6 patrols here in total, I show them here on the map. But here's what you do if you get up the ramp and you see all 6 patrols. You just don't fully commit to what we just did, you just take a sharp turn to the right instead, as shown here in the clip. I will say though, as long as you have your cooldowns, no matter how shit your patrol is, there's always a way that you can make it up here. Drop back down. Pull this pack here. Strafe into these when you know them. Blink. And jump up the ledge. Now this part here is the same as in the previous pull. When you come to the juggle spot, make sure that no ogres or hyenas reach the boss, otherwise you will pull it. Again, juggle till all the mobs are here or something is casting on you. So the first parts here are all the same as in the previous versions, so we'll just skip through that. Want to pull this pack, then swiftness pot, grenade as you strafe into the ogres. Know over these. If there's a patrol here, target dummy or sheep. So here I remove my ice armor because otherwise the ogres will get slowed. This spot right here, it's really good. It's both a juggle spot as well as a reset spot. So to get mobs away, you can stand at the juggle side, or if you just like want a breather, stand on the reset side. You can also stand here and scout ahead to see how you can handle the next parts. In case the boss shows up here, you can go to the juggle spot and then ice block before he enters combat with you. If you don't, then he will charge you even through your ice block. Now go on the juggle spot and poly the patrol, otherwise it won't work. Remember to pull the casters here before you leave. Rank 1 poly the first caster, move up the ledge for a second, and then blink up. Counterspell the second caster. To avoid mobs resetting, make sure to not stay too long on the ledge. You have around a blink's cooldown, 15 seconds. Rank 1 sheep before you enter combat. Reflector here, if you experience you get frostbolted a lot. I body pulled the patrol here, so I blink up earlier than I would have liked. Nova the bug pack before jumping up. From here, it's just like with the Piree pull, so I'll skip through this. For both north and west, having a Castbar add-on is really nice to see if something is in your range and casting on you. For example, when you're running around in prison, then you know if you have to go faster if you suddenly see this small icon popping up. I'm using one that I've made myself, but I recommend that get one where you can actually see what is casting. One nice way of practicing is by joining a DMT. The first jump I would practice is this one, where you come in the Giga pull and then you want to land on this one here. As a gnome at least, I have to pop a giant growth, then I come in here and then I touch the wall, move out and then jump up. If I don't touch the wall first, sometimes it gets quite buggy, so let's say I come here and then I jump up, then this happens where I can't get up. The next jump I would practice is this jump here, or any of the other ones. It's the same everywhere. This one can be a little tough. I spent like 1 hour or something practicing this jump only. In the beginning I just jump up and blink like this, and then my blink would just fail every time. What you want to do is you want to jump into the wall and blink. Let's see that again. Into the wall and blink. I always think about that I have to like smack into the wall. The next jump I would practice is this ledge over here. What I started by doing is like coming up here and then trying to get up like this. Yeah, and sometimes it fails. So what helped for me is pop a giant growth and then slide into it, then I almost always get it. So I've split the kill phase up in 4 subparts. The essentials, where I talk about starting, stacking, killing. Then I have the bugs and emergencies, where I talk about the different bugs that can happen, how to minimize them, as well as some common emergencies that can happen throughout the pool. Then I have some extra tips, positioning, making the jump consistently. There's many different tricks that can help you getting more consistent at the kill phase. Lastly, I will talk about flame striking and TBC, as this will become very relevant quite soon for most of you. So once TBC hits, we will change the way this kill phase should be done. Coming into the kill phase, you want to stand on top of the ledge as long as possible. Do not drop down. Then once you come here, you want to stand on this small spot. And then blizzard the incoming mobs just to stay here a bit longer. Once you can't stay any longer, you just have to drop down. So here's what can happen if you don't stay on the ledge. I am going into kill phase, I stand on the ledge, and then when I reach the kill spot, I immediately start jungling. Now, the shortest path for some of the slow mobs might be through the courtyard instead. We got two main ways of stacking. We got the blizzard stacking. This is the obvious one that we all know from any other pool. Let's not waste more time on this one. And then we have the juggle stacking. Juggle stacking here is what holds the entire pool together. Without it, we'd still be stuck in west, alt tapping to our second mage, because this kill spot here would be impossible without it. Make sure to listen up. So to juggle stack, you jump halfway up the ledge like this, and when mobs reach the pillar, then you jump back down on the ground. One important thing to note here is that you have to jump and then press your strafe key. If you press them at the same time, then this won't work. Repeat this just a couple of times and you'll see that the mobs will clump up really tightly. However, if mobs get on the other side of the pillar, then we lose the ability to juggle stack. So ideally we want mobs to stay on the correct side of the pillar, where we still can juggle stack. So you're in position, your mobs should be so stacked that you can stack everything just with one blizzard. So you start with a rank 1 blizzard to catch as many mobs as possible. Here, if I don't hit all the elementals, I usually just start over. The reason for this is that the elemental has the highest HP, so if they're not in the clump at all times, it's gonna be difficult to kill them. After the blizzard, I jump down, drop a full duration max rank blizzard. If you're not pulling the boss, that's basically it. You just repeat this until all mobs are dead. So if you have a boss, there's a little more to it. Then you want to desync them from the pack first. What you do is you jump back up and then you do a rank 1 blizzard. Once the boss are at the back of the pack, then you cancel your blizzard early and jump back down. And then do a full duration blizzard below again. Then you repeat this combo a couple of times until the bosses gets further and further away. And once they are far enough, you can just start pumping. I want to mention one thing here, that towards the end of the kill phase, I usually don't kill everything. There's always a lot of trees left and maybe some mobs in the back. But as long as you killed most of the mobs, then it's totally fine. I usually stop when I'm either out of mana or if all elementals are dead. So with the essentials, we just scrape the surface of the maul kill phase. There's so many things that can go wrong that you need to know how to handle if it happens to you. So we'll start with the bugs and then we'll look at some common emergencies that can happen. So when you're up on the ledge and blizzarding incoming mobs, you have to keep an eye out for the large elementals. If they get too far into or past the pillar, then there's a high chance that they'll bug out. They'll just stand still here and cast on you forever. So you have to update its position. What I do here is take a lap around the pillar, and then to regain control, I use a combination of blizzard and juggle stacking. So the next thing we have to look at is the pathing bugs. These are all bugs that are related to the way the mobs path. The first bug is the pillar bug, and that is when the mobs keep running past the pillar. So here we see the mobs keep running to me even though I'm on top of the ledge. When this happens, just like with the elemental bug, you just update its position by taking a lap around the pillar. However, here it's a bit harder than the example we saw before with the elemental, because now I have mobs on the other side. So if I drop down early, I will not fix anything, because the mobs will then just run to me. What I need to do is I need to go to the back and then wait for the elemental to get past the pillar again. Once they're past the pillar, I now have the ability to juggle stack again, and this is my trump card here. Now I can drop back down, and then once all the casters are back on the other side of this middle pillar, then I have to hurry up. I take a sharp turn in, and then start juggling the mobs. The reason I hurry here is because the elemental is about to get on the other side of the pillar again, and if that happens, then I'm just in a worse position than I was in the first place. So the melee bug here is when the melees keep running to you on top of the ledge even though you jump down. So you really have to react fast to solve this one. What you do is you update its position, move away or blink, and then again combine your blizzard and juggle stacking to regain control. Here there's no mobs on the other side, so I can just juggle stack up the mobs. The last one is the caster bug. This is the least scary one. Most of the time it will happen while you are down blizzarding anyway, so it won't really affect much. However, it can be a little annoying when you want to juggle stack. Here you might eat a few casts. So this is all the pathing bugs there is, but we haven't really talked about how do they actually happen. Empirically, pathing bugs, they seem to happen when you change the way you run around. Here I'm strafing like for 2-3 minutes straight, just strafing up and down, up and down, up and down, and we have no bugs. But then when I change my pathing style, I now press W and S, I suddenly get a bug.
Update its position.
So to minimize your bugs, just try to stick to one style, either W or S, or strafe up and down. Isn't it then just smart to unbind your W and S key right now? I went and tried just playing only with strafe, and it turns out that even though you just stick to one of these styles, if you move too much, especially if you go further back or further to the front, then you will get a bug. In this clip, for example, when I'm strafing downwards, nothing happens, but then when I then want to strafe the other way, I instantly get a bug. So to sum up, try not to switch and generally move less. Sometimes you need to reposition or fix some bugs or change your movement pattern. And if this happens, be prepared for bugs. In this clip, for example, I'm like spastically switching around. Here I already know that mobs will be buggy. To check if that's true, I do a couple of juggle stacks. Now watch the elemental here in the back. It's like locked in. It doesn't turn like all the other mobs. So I do one more juggle just to be sure. And now I also see that the boss and some other mobs, they show the same behavior. So at this point, I kind of already know there's a pillar bug, so here I should be taking a lap around the pillar. But of course I need to demonstrate that there is actually a bug, so I just sit it out and let the elemental come. So at this point, you're probably a bit confused. On one hand, I've told you never change your movement pattern. But on the other hand, I've also told you to move, for example, when you have to fix some bugs. So if you start fixing a bug, that can in fact lead to another bug, and then another, and another, and another. And then you might be thinking like, okay, so if I move once, then I'm cooked, or no, not really, because the bugs don't happen every time. You can be very unlucky and get multiple bugs in a row, but they will stop eventually. In this clip, for example, I get hit by 3 different bugs in a row before finally regaining control. First I have the elemental bug here. Here I have to take a lap around the pillar. But this causes another bug to happen because I now move.
Update its position.
This one tree doesn't get on the other side, and this is really problematic because now I can't juggle stack. So here I have to tank him. And now I get a third bug, and this I solve by trying to just move a bit.
Update its position.
And luckily it solves it. I have to tank a bit to get the trees on the other side of the pillar. And now I have no mobs on the other side, so I can make use of my juggle stacking to regain full control. No more bugs, time for something else. Sometimes you will be standing here, blizzarding the mobs, and then this guy ganks you out of nowhere. We got 2 ways of solving this, getting a boosty or playing a hit. You might be thinking like, how can a boosty solve this issue? But the thing is, if you enter the instance on a relatively fresh ID and you have a boosty standing in north, then they will render in this patrol, so it will always be pulled during the pull phase. If you don't have that luxury of having a boosty in your ID, you just have to play smart. So when you enter north, you immediately start scanning for this patrol. If you don't see it, then it probably won't come during your kill phase, but if you see it, then you know that you will have to look out for it when you are killing the mobs. From time to time, you look back and scan to see if the patrol is coming behind you. Once you see it, immediately juggle stack up the mobs. Then when the patrol aggros, jump on the ledge. You polymorph it. Then blizzard stack the mobs until the hyenas are behind the pillar. And here you can drop back down and juggle stack them if you need to. Sometimes very late into the kill phase, some bugs can happen, or you greed on the elemental or something like this. And if you have bosses, this can be very annoying. Here, for example, I have bosses in the front with low HP mobs crawling in the back that I really can't reach with my blizzard. Instead of just skipping those mobs and just calling it quits, then it's not completely over. You can still kill quite a few of these mobs in the back. What we do is we juggle stack up the mobs into a tight clump. Then we do a half juggle stack, wait for all the fast mobs to get on the other side of the pillar, and then jump back up. And then jump down on the ground again. Now we have the slow mobs on one side and the fast mobs on the other side, giving the slow mobs a head start, and this allows us to reach those mobs without blizzard. The bosses can knock you back and charge you, but if they do, then you just repeat what we just did until you actually get all the mobs. If your kill phase got so messy that you can no longer blizzard stack or juggle stack because you have casters on both sides, then your only option is to loop. A loop is simply you run around the room and restack all the mobs. In this clip I didn't do the second courtyard, so I just pulled a few extra mobs. If you can't do the second courtyard, then you can also just loop around anywhere else in the room. However, you have to make sure that you don't go too fast, because otherwise you might risk that you have some nasty rappers coming all the way from the back. So now let's take a look at the extra tips and tricks that will make you consistent at Diamond. The first thing I want to mention is zoom the fuck out. So here I'm using the standard UI and it's super difficult to see what's going on here. I'm very zoomed in and I have damage numbers turned on. I cannot see if the air elemental or the boss is close to the pillar. Additionally, I don't know if I have bugged out mobs running around in the back, because the mobs is in the way, I can't see it. Let's zoom out and remove the numbers to see the change. So right here, you can see much more of what's actually going on. Here I have much better overview of when the boss or the elemental is reaching the pillar. On top of this, I can also see if anything is running around in the back. To get these settings, you download Digix Plus and turn on max camera distance. To remove all the damage numbers, I recently started using mixed scrolling battle text, but you can also just go into options and turn on these settings. So next thing here is positioning. So at the kill spot, you can either stand more to the front or more to the back. If you stand at the front, you will have a better blizzard and more reaction time if some mob resists. However, you will also get casted on more by the mobs. So if you have ice block, you can safely stand to the front, because if you get any cast, you just ice block. If you don't have your ice block, then stand more to the back to be safer. When you're on the ledge, make sure to move out to the edge. If you stand on the edge of the ledge, in case some mobs resist, then you can react to it faster. Additionally, you also get a better blizzard angle than if you were standing in the middle of the ledge. Next thing here is placing your blizzards. So placing your blizzard is actually not that trivial here. When you're on top of the ledge, it is. You just put it as far in as possible. But when you're on the ground, you actually have 3 different ones. You have the good, the sweaty, and the bad. So the good one is my go-to. You just aim the inner circle of the blizzard close to the ledge. This one always works and it's easy to do. Then you have the sweaty one. This one is harder to do, but you cover more of the ledge, so it should be a little better than the good one. However, it's risky because it's so similar to the bad one. Take a look at the comparison here. They're very similar. So why is the bad bad? Simply because it doesn't affect the mobs at all, as shown here in the clip. So sometimes the jumps works 10 out of 10 times, but suddenly can just stop working. To make the jump consistent, here's some things that you can try out. Firstly, you might try angling your character a bit. However, try not to angle too much, because then you will start slide down the ledge when you juggle. The sliding messes with a few things that we've talked about earlier. First of all, we would like to stay at the front, so it's annoying when we start sliding backwards. And eventually when we get too far back, then we will have to reposition up again, meaning we will have to press W and S, and as we have talked about, this might cause bugs. Secondly, you can try experiment with a giant growth or a Knockenfucker elixir. At least as a gnome, then popping a giant growth makes the jump easier to land. However, it's not really desirable to be large, then casters can see you more easily. You won't be standing in line of sight. If you have a lot of these problems, then you can maybe try pop a Knockenfucker. Lastly, you can try play with some FPS settings. When I first started doing the Giga pull, it was super hard to land the jump compared to when I did the smaller versions. So I messed with some FPS settings and it kind of helped, I guess. What you do is here, you go to options, search for FPS, go to these settings here and try change max foreground FPS, as well as enabling the vertical sync. As I see it, there's 2 different ways you can use your grenade and mortar. You have the early one, where you blow them early to get a lot of mana back in case you had a rough pull phase. And then there's the more greedy one, where you can use it to kill more of the healing trees. What I like to do is that once I see the first elite dying, then I blizzard, and then throw my mortar as I drop down. Then when I'm jumping up, I throw another grenade again, and then do a max rank blizzard. Pairing up the mortar and the grenade will cancel a lot of the healing trees, as well as giving a nice burst to finish off a lot of the elites that are quite low and might get a heal or two from the healing trees. So this is not really a tip or a trick, it's just something that I wasn't aware of. So usually when you go out in the open world and you ignore a mob for too long, it doesn't give full XP. I used to think that that's how it worked everywhere in WoW, but when you're in a dungeon group, or boosting for that sake, this rule doesn't apply. In this clip, for example, I juggle a hyena for 2 minutes, and it still gives full XP. So if you have mobs that doesn't get killed immediately or is on low HP for very long, they will still give full XP. Lastly, I want to comment on Flamestriking, both now as well as in TBC. So right now, Flamestrike is not really viable unless you have CG5 set. With Flamestrike, you can keep mobs blizzarded at all times, while you will have a lot of elementals and casters going past the pillar. And this will cost you a lot of time, so I would not recommend Flamestriking at all right now. However, in pre-patch and TBC, even though it's not out yet, I can confidently say that it will be doable. Here, our blizzard is changed such that it almost hits instantly when you drop it. You don't have this awkward moment where you like put it down and then it takes 2-3 seconds for the mobs to actually get hit. In this clip, for example, some guy is doing marathon in TBC, and you see that the blizzard ticks super fast here. Even though it won't deal any damage, it will give us so much control over the kill phase that we can easily weave in our flame strikes. We also get icy veins that makes blizzard tick even faster, so it should be very doable, even without CG5 set. So this was all I had to say about Diamond. Hopefully anytime there's something you're in doubt of, you can find it somewhere here in the video, but if not, feel free to reach out to me on Discord or down in the comments. Have a good one. Hey!